at this point for rowing in the winter is hard, being on the ergs all of the time. So taking away the trip from Florida and having that breakaway of we're now on the water, we're back where our element is really and our focus, it's nice to break up the time spent in the erg room and get that refocus, like, okay, let's get back on our technique, let's get back on the power applied to the water. And then coming back to UMass, it's now like a mental break where it's like, okay, let's focus again on the ergs and build up our power again so we can be back and ready for like March and getting on the water together again.
So from about 7 to 9 a.m. we would have our first water practice, and then we would head back to the hotel and have breakfast. We would have about 2-3 hours to just hang out. Some people took naps, showers, and then around 2:30 we head back to the water, and we would have our second water practice of the day. And then we ate lunch and dinner at Stetson University.
So as a freshman going into DeLand, Florida as my first training trip with the team, I was really nervous because 2 practices a day can be very demanding physically. Unlike Natalie, I'm a rower, and so going in 100% both in the morning for 2 hours and in the afternoon for another 2 hours, I was already exhausted from the first practice, but had to figure out how am I going to approach the next one, how can I be better than I was in the beginning and focus on technique, power, and executing the practice as best as I could. So after the first session, you really want to focus on how can I best prepare for my afternoon practice. Usually we're thinking about, okay, what am I putting into my body? Am I resting the right way? Am I rolling out all of my sore muscles, stretching a lot? After the second practice, you want to think about, okay, I need to be ready for the next morning.
Having the river frozen up here, getting down there and having the time on the water and in a nice climate outside gives us a major advantage over the teams who don't have the funding and the opportunity to go on a training trip like this. So it's a really big advantage for us.
The extra practices on the water really help to make our team a lot tighter because you're spending so much time together with the other girls that you don't normally spend as much time with. So it's nice to be able to really get to know people on your team better than you would at UMass.
I was a bit nervous. 2 water practices a day is pretty mentally taxing, and as a coxswain, it's a lot mentally for me to focus on steering and just being on top of everything during practice. So I think that lived up to expectations. It was a little bit nerve-wracking at times, but it was also a ton of fun, and I'm excited for next year again to go back.